Welcome back, fight fans. Joining us now, coming off a big win, former junior middleweight champ, our guy Liam Smith is on the line with us.
What's up, champ?
That's okay. Thanks for having me.
Look, congratulations, amazing win over Eubank Jr.
Yes.
Going into this fight, you were the underdog, right? You were aware of that, despite of you being from a prestigious fight family, you being in there with way better opposition than Eubank Jr. All of those intangibles that you brought to the table, why is it that the general public saw you as the underdog?
I think probably taking a couple of things into consideration. Maybe that was, again, since the fight, a lot's been made of Chris at the weight. You know, I fought Chris at Chris's weight. 160 is Chris Eubank Jr.'s best weight. Not 159, not 158 or 157. You know, I stepped up to Chris's weight. No catchweight fights. It was a middleweight fight, and I fought him at middleweight. And I think that was the only emphasis on why he was the favourite. And also maybe people looked into my age a little bit too much. And look, I know the grey hair doesn't help me, but people are looking into my age a little bit too much. I'm 34, Chris is 33, and you know, I think if you looked into it properly, I'm 34 with very, very good momentum at the moment. And I always knew that would play a big part.
Knockout after knockout. Listen, does this mean that maybe you're going to campaign at 160? Because we spoke to Eddie Hearn. He's like, well, maybe you could fight Triple G next.
Yeah, look, that will put me in a good position at 160. Now, also, you know, I always said before it, I beat Chris Eubank Jr. It leaves me in a very, very good position, whether it's 154 or 160. You know, if I beat Chris Eubank, it's not going to harm my reputation. It's not going to make me drop in any rankings. So I just thought if I beat Chris, it leaves me in a very good position, and I have even more options again. You know, we know the titles are all tied up at 154. Charlo holds all four of them. So,
yeah,
you know, when he's out injured at the moment. So it just leaves me with good options now.
Are you now the hardest punch out of the Smith family? Did you solidify that this past weekend?
I know. Look, it always, you know, it chop and changes. Everyone, I think I'm getting told I'm the best Smith now, and you know, Callum will fight in March. Callum's the best Smith again. It's just, but it's just adding to our story.
Callum's a big puncher as well. You know, yeah. I want to go back real quick. Like coming up when you guys were young, I mean, was it like that as well, where one guy excelled and was a little bit better than the rest, and then the other guy came up and a little bit better than the rest? Or was there always one guy where everybody felt was special?
You know what? It was always next in line, but like Paul was the first national champion in the amateurs, right. Then Stephen was, and then it all went in line. But you know, Stephen was a special fighter. Stephen was the cleverest fighter out of all of us. Probably still is. He was just unfortunate he come up against two world champions who put in career best performances against himself. Mm-hmm. You know, we know Callum's a special fighter who punches, you know, really, really hard, and we just seem to be getting better.
Yeah. I want to know what you feel about Chris Eubank saying that your punch was like a once in a lifetime punch.
I just think, Chris, which one was it? It was the left uppercut, the once in a lifetime, or the left hook that put you down. I hit you with about 5 or 6. You know, I just think which one was it? And
do you give him, like, you cut him some slack, right? The guy's like, obviously he has that image of being braggadocious, a lot of bravado. He's really embarrassed right now because of that.
Yeah.
And doesn't know how to react to this.
Yeah, of course. Look, and going forward, that's what I feel is going to be maybe a big decision to make for Chris. Chris has got 3 or 4 weeks now, maybe 3 weeks left to exercise a rematch clause. Now, for the ego and the pride of the man, he sets a stall out on, you know, he's invincible. He's got an unbelievable chin. Now he's got to go and watch that fight and watch him be dropped, get up, stumble around the ring, and then, you know, be stopped. And that's a big thing to do for such a proud man who's never been hurt. You know, he said before the fight, I've never been hurt, dropped, standing count. You know, he said he's never done any of them things. Well, they all happened the other night, and he's got to sit and take that in and then decide what he wants to do in the rematch.
Right, and he kind of said, like, some fighters after a loss, they'll say, yeah, I definitely want that rematch. He said if the fans want it, so it kind of seems like at that moment, he might not necessarily won it. But when you went into the fight, did you think that Chris was going to try and be the aggressor straight ahead? And were you surprised that he was boxing and you was able to back him up?
It's hard because I expected both, honestly. I thought, won't surprise me if he tries to come for me early and prove he's the big 160. Then I always knew with him having Roy Jones over, and also going off his last performance with Liam Williams, he probably believed he's this very good slick boxer now. You know, I think he dropped Williams on the back foot a couple of times with jabs, so you know he probably took that into his own mind and thought, you know what, I'm very good at this, and obviously thinks, well, Liam's going to come for me with his hands high, I'll do the same to him. But I was really expecting for both, and I prepared for both. I'm not going to lie. I had a short, stocky sparring partner from a French kid over Pierre. So I think he's 21 and 0. He's super middleweight, and I had a good soul for the long range boxing.
Okay.
Did you?
In Ashton Brown, so I prepare for both.
Liam, do you think it's unfair for the fight fans out there that are blaming Roy Jones for this loss, saying that Eubank is maybe trying to emulate Roy's style a little too much?
I think it's unfair because at the end of the day, your coach can only do so many things. You're in the ring, your coach can tell you one thing and it might not work. Like I said, you can work on a game plan for 6 weeks. That might not work when you get in there. The fighter has got to revert, and it was down to Chris to do that. So I feel that Roy's getting a little bit unfair criticism. It's not doesn't make Roy a bad coach because Chris has lost, but maybe they don't gel. I don't know. Look, that's down for them and their team to decide.
Seems like
I feel Roy's a little bit better than this. Like, I feel because Roy's getting stick. I seen a post Roy's put out the other day blaming an elbow. Said it was an elbow that started this.
Oh, wow. I didn't see that.
Yeah, I didn't see that either.
A couple of posts have been put out saying I basically rocked Chris with an elbow first.
Maybe all of those fans are getting to him. You know what I mean? Sometimes if you read too many comments on social media, it can get to you. Now, anybody involved in the lead up to this fight, meaning execs, managers, promoters, whoever you were around that you knew they were going against you, and you saw it. Did you get a chance to lock eyes with one of those guys and say, you were wrong?
Not yet, but there's a couple coming, don't worry. Johnny Nelson's one. Johnny Nelson goes against the Smiths every single time. He always has, he always will. Wow. Johnny Nelson's one I'll see, and I'll just think, you want to learn your lesson, mate, because you go against us every time.
No, but why is that? Is it something personal, or it just happenstance?
I don't know. Look, I don't know whether it's always been me and Kell Brook. Like, I've always been spoken about fighting in the past. Like, Kell was world champion at welterweight, and I was world champion at 154, and Kell was always rooted that he was going to move up. And there was talks of us fighting, and I don't know whether it's always been that, but he just always seems to go against us, Johnny. He picked Rocky Fielding to beat Callum. He picked, I don't know. He's just picked loads, honestly. He has.
Liam, the record of your last 4 opponents combined for 96-8, right? That's very impressive. These are the last 4 guys that you fought. You're on a roll. What does Liam Smith have to accomplish in the sport of boxing to say, all right, fellas, tell your brothers, your fam, I'm done. I'm going to hang it up. I've done enough.
I just want to see how far I can go. This is probably me the autumn or whatever you want to call it. And this is me final crack because I don't need to stay in. I'm in it now because I want to, and there's a couple of things now I want to accomplish, and that was one of them. A huge fight, a sold out arena. I just want to be involved in fights people are talking about, people captures the imagination of fans, but I also want to have another crack at a world title. I'd love to become the first 2-time
at 154 or 160. What would you prefer?
I would probably prefer 160 only because I'm a 2-time 2-weight world champion. I think it adds to a legacy, a story.
And you can eat a little bit more in camp.
I can. Well, I felt great at 160. I'm not gonna lie, I did feel great, and energy levels on the fight week were a lot better and a lot more than they was at 154. So I have got a decision to make myself also.
And we know at 160 now you got some pop as well. Now, because you beat Eubank, you know, obviously Conor Ben was going to fight him before you. So now some people like Ak is saying, well, maybe Conor Ben can fight Liam Smith. I don't think that makes sense, but do you?
Not really. You know, I'm not going to sit and call Conor Ben out. If Conor Ben wants to fight me and come for me, fight away, be my guest. But Conor's never really, even after the Eubank loss, he made fun of Eubank losing. He hasn't really mentioned fighting myself. A lot of people I've seen a few people on social media tweeting, well, what about Ben versus Smith now? Which might make sense, but you know, like I say, we'll see.
Well, I think the reason why is because, you know, obviously there's the history amongst the families, and he was going up in weight. You know, he's a welterweight, so I figure he's thinking, you know, there's no need there. That, you know, there's no history there that I need to go fight for. But I like to ask our guests this oftentimes, especially after a big win. If Liam, if you could control everything involving your next 3 fights, meaning pick every single opponent and in the proper order, who would your next 3 opponents be?
My next 3 opponents would be Chris Eubank Jr. at Anfield. Triple G for the WBA and IBF title. And then maybe just the swan song in Liverpool. I'll bow out as champion.
A farewell fight.
Okay. All right, listen. One of your countrymen, Tommy Fury, it seems like he's going to fight Jake Paul, and Jake Paul's even willing to go over to the UK to fight him. Who do you think wins that fight?
I do think it's a good fight. I've always said I think Jake Paul is the best of the YouTubers.
Yeah.
I think Tommy Fury is still learning his craft. I know he's a Fury. They've had boxing in the blood the whole time. I think he didn't have much amateur pedigree, Tommy, and I do think it's a good fight, but I probably would have to go with Fury just for the boxing.
Liam, it's been great to watch this second surge in your career. Fun to watch. Looking forward to seeing you back in the ring again, man. My love to the Smith family. Congrats.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on, lad. Thank you.
Introducing the new DAZN Boxing Show podcast. No matter the time or the place, getting your boxing content has become easier than ever. Tune in as we give you exclusive insights, predictions, fight night recaps, and more alongside the biggest names in the game. All for free. Available globally every Thursday across all audio streaming platforms and with new episodes dropping weekly to give you the latest news. Just type in the DAZN Boxing Show podcast, listen in, and enjoy.